Live. One moment, please. Got some fun stuff in store for you guys. Some of you guys kind of know a little bit about this information, but all right, we're streaming live there. We're good there. Let me record. All right, all right, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. You see how that energy just we're on, let's go. It's Monday, my favorite day of the week. Appreciate each and every one of you guys popping in here with me. This absolutely makes my day, my week. I trust that it helps you as well. So this is the Monday Mastermind. We meet here every Monday, 12 Eastern Standard Time to discuss, number one, some of the wins from the people that are in the audience right now. We would love to have you join us sometime and discuss your wins with us so that we can all live vicariously through you, my friends. Today, we're going to be talking about some power words and even some forbidden words that some of you guys might be familiar with. As most of you guys know, I kind of tend to take a look at the grand scheme of things, what's happening in the world, and kind of tailor the trainings around that. So first thing we do, we start off with our wins for the week, and then I go into that component of teaching, if you will, and then we open it up for any questions, make it a real live, fun mastermind. The intention here is to forget about what happened last week, especially if it's bad, gather up all of our wins, the good ones, discuss those, get a game plan of attack so that we have a fantastic week. So that's the show, my friends. Appreciate you being here. So that being said, who wants to start it off? Who's got some wins that they want to share today, my friends? Feel free to raise your hand. I know Rita likes to go last. And then I've got a couple I want to share. And I do need some time to cover this information. So anyone? I know you guys got some wins. Yes, no, maybe so.
Okay.
All right. True leader.
Oh, Jackie. I don't know if I should go before her. So I don't know what to say. It's not like super duper,
All
but
everything's
I'm trying
small
to
in the
be
way.
a doer,
Yeah,
not just a listener, right?
sure.
So a lot of things that I'm doing is like maybe way elementary compared to what everybody else is that's been a doer all this time. So I try to do my initial email blast and didn't like it. Didn't realize I tried to do it through Now site. Didn't realize it had so many links. My picture didn't show up. It showed up in the link, as a link. And then there's so many other links, you can't see everything at the same time. So that was kind of frustrating. It's like, oh, okay, that's why they say go to Canva and create the banner and do like that, then plug it in. Oh, that's the reason why they did this and this, this, and why they said to do this, this, this. So I guess that's my win
That's
because now
good.
a lot of stuff that was like, oh, okay, seemed like, oh, now I need to pay attention because now I'm
That's crazy
actually
cool. And
doing
that is a
something.
win, man. That's called understanding, right?
Yeah.
When you understand why these things were said. And yeah, I got chills off of that one. That one's good. I like that one. Yay! Once we
Yay!
understand, we comprehend this stuff, then yeah, it's easier to take action, right? But if we don't know what the hell we're doing,
Yeah.
what action are we going to take, right?
And, and this
Awesome.
information just shows you can't just sit back and listen.
Right.
You have to be involved to understand what the heck y'all talking about every
Exactly. Can't just send in your Fireflies note taker. You gotta
chat.
watch the info, understand it, and apply it. Awesome, girl. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you for sharing. Jackie, what you got, my friend? Applied learning, like Rita said, exactly.
Afternoon, everyone. So my win is that I told my story on Facebook,
Yes.
and I put it on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and I did an extra step, and I put my story on Alignable. So that's a win for me.
And how
Uh,
did it go? Did you get some people commenting, liking and stuff, or what?
I did actually.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, I got quite a few responses, positive. Well, they're all positive responses
Sure.
on Facebook, and I got a couple on Alignable, actually about three on Alignable, which was like, oh, that's good. And I got some on LinkedIn as well. So that's really good. And I followed up with people, so that was good. And then my second win is I actually started something and finished it. I actually finished a project because
Yeah.
I've got so many bits and pieces that I've started and I haven't finished any of them. But I did
Definitely a win.
finish. I started my like updating my alignable profile, and I started it and I finished it. So I was really happy about that.
Heck yeah, girl.
So those was my two wins.
Congratulations. That's awesome, girl. I love
Thank
it. Love it. Love it. Tell your story. If you don't tell your story, no one's gonna know, right? Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Jackie. What you got, Virgil?
A couple of small ones snowballing
Right.
into a big one, I guess, for me. First, a couple of well, 2 weeks ago, I went into this training to expand my network in that industry of choice that I love, and that's picking up. In follow up to that, I am starting an in-depth course in managing a small production in fashion. And I thought that the group was just limited to my country, but it's actually going across a few countries. So that's
Nice.
going to be great. My next step in that group is going to offer a tandem type conversation around marketing and branding, since they're talking about teaching how to build a brand manufacturing wise and control your cost. But there's also that conversation around branding that most likely is going to come in. So that's going to be my next step. I also found a 100% commission-free opportunity that I'm looking in. And the
Ooh,
reason why I'm interested in that is that it's falling in line to a new um, development or new conversation that I'm trying to present for my own brand. I was mainly talking about marketing and image, but a few of these freelance opportunities that I've come across recently allow me to offer also products, business solutions. So I'm building that. And in the extension of that, well, it was supposed to be technically a job interview, but it turned out to be more of a business pitch because when we opened up the conversation, I realized, well, first I took a look at the business that had solicited me for employment or that I had solicited for employment. I looked at their branding position and I got confused because everything was very raw. A new Facebook website in progress, things like that. So at first, I wasn't sure that I was dealing with the right entity. But during the course of the interview, the owner, because I went to the first stage with her assistant, and then I was supposed to have the meeting this Monday, but it turned out that she wanted it the next day after seeing the review of my interview, I suppose. So
nice.
we came in, we had a discussion, and it went from a business interview to an honest share about backgrounds and into me positioning what I thought would be the right approach to create the brand presence or create the marketing structure for what she was trying to do because and I also learned a new term as well, which is pretty interesting, fractional marketing.
Mm.
In the end, I was so full of enthusiasm that I said, okay, you know what? I'll follow up with a presentation of what I would suggest providing to each one of your sales member team in terms of marketing asset, bringing in basically everything that we've discussed, applying the strategy and presentation, creating a landing page, bringing in an asset that I didn't see her use. I'm waiting for the feedback, but already the whole process was a big win for me. It allowed me to see that there's different opportunities that I am myself can build beyond just waiting for offers. So it was pretty cool. And it also just consolidated everything I've been talking about and doing since the beginning of the year. So it was pretty good,
That sounds
pretty good
awesome, brother.
experience.
Again, clarity, that's what I'm picking up off of this, which I really love. It also sounds like you made a really good first impression.
Thank you.
Because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And the other
Mhm.
thing that I wrote down little notes here while you were talking, I think that's pretty cool, brother. If you can find an affiliate program that actually pays you out 100%, I don't know how they do that. That's
Mhm.
intriguing to me. I've never seen that, but
Oh, no, no, sorry. It's 100% commission. The
okay.
payoff is 30%.
Okay.
And it's a big ticket item. I'm coming across
Gotcha.
these big ticket items that require just to commit and put forward your expertise. So it's really like, falling into this river and then
Gotcha.
flowing with the current, loving it.
Makes sense to me. And one
Mhm.
thing that I want to mention, right, and while we're on this topic, is whether you're selling a low ticket item or a high ticket item, it's all done the same way. The only
Mhm.
difference is the people that you're talking to. So you want to make sure that you pre-qualify those, especially on high ticket. So
Mhm.
excellent, excellent, brother. I'm looking forward to the next update, brother.
I,
Awesome.
I'm
Thanks for
looking forward to the class because them words are becoming important.
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Well, I had you in mind. I'm not gonna lie.
and basically,
You know I love you. Oh yeah, man. That's like nails on the chalkboard, buddy.
here to learn. Let it rip.
We're gonna give you guys some really good power words and stuff like that too. So that'll be fun. Thanks for sharing, brother.
There.
Gene, what you got, bro?
Well, it's kind of my own personal win.
Yeah,
As you know, maybe some people point out, I've been in a slump for a few weeks,
sure. Okay.
just, just not energized, not wanting to do things. And I realized the other day that it's the same way I felt last year at the beginning of the year
Hmm.
in 2024 and
Okay.
before that. Um, and now I think I figured out what's going on
Cool.
and I'm trying to correct it now. And I'll have more information next week on that correction.
Cool.
But I just, appreciate everybody's still commenting on my good mornings and things
Of
like that.
course.
It's good encouragement, but hopefully I will come out of this slump. I'm about 2 weeks behind on everything I wanted to do,
Cool. Okay.
but yeah, slowly but surely, just climbing out of the little pit that I dug for myself. But I think I understand one thing that's going on now. So, but
Well, I want to say to that, I got you. I 100% understand. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, burned it, threw it away. Secondly, you are an inner circle member, so please schedule some time with me if you need it, especially even if it's just to have this conversation. I'm certain I can help you get past this if you need any more additional help. But thank you for
appreciate it.
sharing, brother.
So,
We all go through that at some point in time in our lives, right? And I'm not going to get too into detail with it, but a lot of times that tends to happen because we lost whatever focus it is, or we forgot about what our why is. Many times that's what it is. That's not what it always is, but many times that's what it is. So if you find yourself in that position, it's definitely recommended to talk to somebody. Talk to somebody like myself. Talk to somebody in your upline that's moving and shaking, and you see that they have that consistency. Talk to a military veteran, talk to somebody that's been in sports, something like that, because we all need to understand that network marketing has to have that kind of mentality to where you have to be 100% focused and like laser focused. And the moment that you lose any of that focus, well, that's where all the distractions tend to come in, right? And I say that, based off of what I was doing even this weekend, which I'll kind of tease you with a little bit. I was at my computer what was it? Friday all day till about 7 or 8, Saturday all day till about 7 or 8, and then yesterday for about 6 or 7 hours, just totally focused on getting the lost transition done because I'm to me, I'm past schedule, right? I'm 2 weeks, if not more, behind to get this thing done. So I know it happens, but again, I'm here for you, brother. If you need it, open line anytime, just hit me up, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you all.
I appreciate you, brother. Keisha, what you got? You mean,
So I built an app.
yeah, right
I
on.
built an app and it was actually, it had a few holes in it, but I figured out where the holes were. At first, I was
Cool.
fixing the app using AI. Um, but then I realized that, if I fix my initial prompt, I can fix the whole app easier.
Cool. Okay.
And so that's been kind of fun. Um, use the switch.
One moment, please.
My grandkids just came over. Alexa, turn on bathroom light. Sorry. I apologize.
No
My
worries.
bad. Alexa controls this half of the house.
How nice.
So, and it was not responding to her voice for whatever reason. So yes, so I built the app, and then between Notebook LM and Canva and Perplexity, I've been having a blast.
Right on.
And I'm about to throw all of that together and then use Manus to do that, to create all my bots,
Right on.
to help me with the
How did you
marketing.
make the app? What system? You didn't use Rourke? I heard Rourke, RORK. I don't know if you guys have heard of that or not.
You are going to love this. So I was putting in a bunch of information into Perplexity for the other stuff I was already working on, right? And I spoke to one of our members, and she was like, "Did you know that you can just tell it now to create a prompt to create an app for you and then drop that in Canva?" I was like, "What?"
Really?
And it's not like drop it in Canva like in the regular Canva. There's a little bit of you got to know where to drill down to.
Sure.
But it was awesome.
And I
It was
imagine, does that take a paid upgraded version of Canva, I would think?
No, it works on the free
No?
version, but I do have the
Oh,
paid version, but it works on the free version.
cool.
On the free version, I think you're limited with how many apps you can create,
Sure.
and in your entire lifetime, you only get one domain with Canva
Hmm.
per email. So therefore, you definitely want to pick a name that makes sense for anything else that you would be doing. Like with me, Keys to Better works no matter what I'm doing. That is Keisha, no matter how you slice that pie. Keys to Better is Keisha. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I used that and went from there.
Cool.
It actually took me a couple of hours, and that was with all of my revisions. But the
That's not
stuff that I
bad.
was no, that was putting in all the data I was already doing. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
literally, and so once I put in all the data, I realized that my data that I put in was missing a couple of steps. You know what I'm saying? It was the whole picture, but it was missing some of the holes that I believe all of the programs that try and do this thing is missing. You know what I'm saying? Because we could talk about branding, we could talk about, online marketing, and we could talk about all this stuff, new business startup, but there's always the little holes, and that was the point. That's the thing I feel is all the little holes that all the apps tend to miss. So I was trying to put something to like put the me in between all the pieces that were missing and
cool.
put it into one app, which is actually going to be part of that funnel that I'm building.
That's
So it's
cool
a
because
presentation to the ebook. The upsell from the ebook is the ebook with a workbook. And then there's a bundle option or a full access to the library. And that would be the membership. And then after that, we did included in the membership, if you have the full access, you also get 3 hours a month you can schedule with me,
cool.
full access to my app, and discounts off of my 6-week course that I'm creating
Love it.
that I need to talk to you and Virgil about because
Okay.
I need some speakers. And so that's my high ticket item is that twice a year, $3,000 to $5,000 course, depending on how many speakers and the range of topics that I have speakers for.
Sure.
So
That sounds awesome. What I
yes,
love about that, I talk about this all the time, is you're literally learning a new skill set, which is specific in a very defined niche, which, man, that could come in handy and could bring you some big bucks in the future. So kudos to
it,
you.
it I'm hoping so because again, you have people that do new business startup and you have people that do marketing. And there's that piece in the middle that's always missing. You need your legal services. You need to understand why you're putting some of these things in place from
Mhm.
day one instead of trying to put them in later. And that's why so many businesses fail. They don't understand the fundamentals and nobody teaches the fundamentals. Even when you go and you take a whole business course, it's teaching you from a certain point. So that's what the app will help with. It's all of the edumacation in between. I've created over 100 and something gammas that talk about all the little specifics. So I went through and I bundled them into 6 categories and create the ebooks off of the categories instead of off of each individual gamma. And then workbooks that so that when you're done with the ebook, if you were using the workbook, you have a workable plan that you can give to a virtual assistant, you can give to your marketer, you can give to you whomever, and you can have it for your own reference so you always know what your mission is, what your vision is, what your slogan is. You know your colors, you know your whys, you know all of that. And
Love it.
everybody else does too.
Cool.
So
Very awesome. That sounds pretty interesting. I look forward to hearing the updates as they come about, man.
yeah,
Kudos to you, girl.
that's why I've been quiet.
That's all good. No, no, man. That's a beautiful thing, man. Learning is earning, believe it or not. So good job.
Yeah,
Awesome
thank
stuff.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. Rita, anyone else before Rita goes? Looks like you're up, girl.
All right, here we go. I gotta do my dance. It's my emoji dance. Um, just really, going back to the give to get, and you never know what you're going to get when you give. So,
Ooh.
how about I got a ticket valued over at $200
Hmm.
to a Josh Johnson. He's a comedian,
Oh,
and
that guy, yeah.
he's going to be at the Kravis Center, so which of the performing arts. And so I was working with an organization, and I had seen on the website because I was following him, and I had seen it on the website, and I was like, okay, I wonder, oh my God, he's going to be in West Palm. Ah! All right, so who do I know? So I reached out to the person I was doing work for, and he said, let me see if I can get one for you. He said, where do you want to sit?
Front row behind the stage? I don't know.
I said orchestra would be good. So I'm in the orchestra section, like 5 rows back. I'm so excited.
How awesome is
So
that?
yes, and the ticket value was over a couple of hundred. So
Nice.
I was really excited about that. All right. So
Love
um,
it.
the second thing is I thank you, Virgil, again, and Blakester for the branding guide because I started taking because I don't know. My brain functions differently, I guess, and maybe other people do too. But I just don't know about it. Okay, so I started looking at the pieces, and I told you before I was printing out the guides that he has in place.
Mhm.
I forgot what you call them, stories. I don't know. Anyway, those pieces of paper that have the directions on them, whatever you want to call it, that's what I'm talking about. Okay.
Instructions. Let's call them that.
So I printed those out and started putting things into perspective. And then I could go into Chat GPT according to what was printed and have that right beside me looking back and forth. And I did come up with a branding guide, which I'm still going to tweak, but I'm so excited that at least I got that done. And now I can go in and tweak the websites that I've created. So I'm really excited about that.
Very
And
nice.
wanted to tell Jean, Jean, dude, I'm distracted all the time. And I had asked Blakester, I said, haven't seen Jean out there. Usually I'm hearing stuff. And didn't I ask you about Jean?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, because I had missed you. And I was like, where's Jean? I haven't seen him out there in the streets. the internet streets, that is. And so maybe I was feeling your vibe, I don't know, but you were missed. So we all get it. We understand. They say a rocket is on course 95% of the time, and the rest of the time they're pulling it back to get on course.
Hmm.
So it's
Ooh, I
okay.
love that. Ooh, I love that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, dang. Power is surging today. Very nice. Thank you. So I got a cool little win. Gene kind of gave it away. I don't know if you've seen in my face. It's not that I just shaved, but yes, I finally hit my first target goal of 180 as of yesterday. Yay! I'm only mentioning this because I've talked about this before and something that I've learned in the past. The reason why most people fail when they create goals is because they create goals that are unattainable, right? So what I like to do is I don't set myself a goal to say I want to lose X amount of weight. What I do is I change what I'm doing on my daily, and then naturally the occurrence happens, right? So those of you that have been following, I started what's called a DDP yoga workout. Diamond Dallas Page, an old wrestler, really cool. I've loved and enjoyed it so far. We're 14 weeks in now. I can't believe it's already been 14 weeks. But we started off literally in a bed, and that's how they do it. Get you to get out of the bed, and then we're in a chair. And tomorrow, actually today is the last chair day, and then I don't know what's happening after that. I think we get out of the chair and actually start moving around. But it's very low impact, and because of my lower back and my neck, I can't do, or I find it difficult. Don't want to use the word can't. I find it difficult to do strenuous exercises. So it's been really fun, really enlightening. I think I missed maybe 3 or 4 workouts out of that entire time. But the point of that is, even if you miss one, right, you can always get back on the track, get back on the game. And I'm just pretty happy that yesterday I was like, man, I feel lighter. My muffin tops aren't as big as they were when I pinch them. So I jumped on the scale yesterday because I don't jump on the scale daily. You don't want to do that. And yeah, hit my first goal of 180. Woo! The reason I'm most excited about that is because at one point in time, the largest that I weighed was around 220 pounds. So wow, little butterball there. So that's at least 40 pounds that I've lost. So I'm pretty proud of that. And still got more to go. So that's my win. Also got my UCC one filed for the state. Woo! Rita, you know what I'm talking about. Big things happening there. Gonna start doing some negotiable instruments. I'm excited. I actually went to ChatGPT, had wonderful conversations about all that stuff too, Rita, which is why I wanted to talk to you yesterday and kind of tell you what I found. Really cool stuff. So we're learning again something that I might be able to help teach some other people once I have the process completely locked in. But I'm excited, super excited. So that being said, let's go ahead and transition into what we're going to talk about today. I've got some slides. Yes, I put together some slides. But before I go into that, I want to quickly share my screen. And look, I just want to show you my method of operation, if you will, just to kind of maybe this will help. Right? Maybe this will help. And part of this is because I know many of us have 50 million tabs up at the top here, right? So I wanted to show you a little bit of my structure, how I do it in my mind, and maybe it'll help, right? If you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, I typically try not to have more than 10 open at a time because that can cause confusion. What I typically will do is anything on the left is stuff that I need to get to. So I got a call this morning from this company. They want to work with our company, Black Growth Solutions. So anything on the left that's to do is what I put. I got this video here that you sent me, Rita, that I still have to watch. So again, to do is on the left. DDP yoga, I still got to do my chair workout today, so it's on the left, right? Then I have my businesses, my 7K, my got backup, my now site, all of those are always open. You don't have to have them open, but I have them open. Then I've got my chat GPTs, my AI. Then I got Facebook. And then the only reason I have this is because I want to tease y'all. Building out the lost transition over the weekend. Oh, I got the register login page, some of the back end stuff done. It is not ready yet. Don't go try to sign up. But just want to give you that little tease there. We could drop that. Ooh, there's another one gone. Drop that because we're in there. There's another one gone, right? Boop. And here's today's. We don't have to be on here. So now what does that do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just like I like it. Once we're done with this mastermind, I'm gonna get rid of that one. Then I'm back down to 10. What I tend to try to do is before I call it a day, I'm gonna go back here and say, okay, what do I need to do with this? Is this something that I need to structure, deal with, call, whatever, right? And then same thing. And I'll go through whatever I need to do on the left-hand side on a day. So just wanted to show you guys that my method of operation, my thinking or whatever. I trust that helps. For those of you that got a million tabs open. You don't need Facebook open 25 times, okay? You don't need it. Let's get into the slides here. So as I briefly mentioned, I like to kind of take a look at what's going on in the circle and find out what we need to talk about so that everybody can be on the same sheet of music. Some of us start at different times, then we got to catch people up. So there is sometimes a redundancy. Well, I wouldn't say a redundancy, but a repetitiveness, if you will. So some of the stuff and information that you're going to see and hear me talk about, if you went through the boot camp, some of it's going to be familiar. Okay. If you didn't, then it's not going to be familiar at all. And I definitely want you to take some notes. Again, I was thinking about, well, maybe I create a PDF for everybody and give it to them. But then if I do that, again, I feel like it's cheating. It's feel like it's the notes section. And if you don't take those notes, it's not really going to get into your subconscious and you're not going to work it. That's just how I feel, right? So definitely make sure that you take some notes today. We're going to talk about power words and also what I like to call forbidden words. These forbidden words I've learned, especially in the direct marketing world. So that's what we're going to cover. What's in it for you guys today? Rita, you got something real quick?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about what you just said about
Sure.
taking notes. And this is from an educator's perspective that
Mhm.
that note-taking process actually writes in your mind. So you are creating and not just listening, hearing, seeing. That tactile is the writing part. So it's if you need that, that's good. If you're just able to just absorb, that's great. I'm not that person. That's why I always take notes. Back to you.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. When you write it down, it actually speaks to your subconscious, believe it or not. So, Keisha, what you got? Real quick.
No, I'm just backing that up because
Oh,
everybody likes to say, "Oh, you're so smart," or "You're so this." If I don't write it, I won't get it. I may never look at that note again, but I need to write it in order to get it out of my head so that I can move on to the next thing. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of stuff running around in my head and I'm not taking action on any of it.
100%. I always take notes, man. I write stuff down, jot it down so I don't forget all that fun stuff. So definitely. So let's talk about what's in it for you today, right? I'm going to show you guys some powerful words that we didn't talk about in the 5-day boot camp. Some other ones that kind of got into the mix, if you will. We're going to learn some of the forbidden words if you haven't heard about it. These forbidden words that I'm talking about really weaken your influence, right? Many of you heard me talk about owning the message. And when you own the message, that means also your communication has to be in such a fashion that it doesn't confuse or give these weird vibes or anything like that, right? So a lot of this too is helping you understand the sales psychology behind that language that we talk about all the time. And then fourth but final, we're going to help you level up your sales posture instantly if you follow what we're talking about today. So that's what we're going to get into. Talking really about the power of words, right? We've said this before. Words in the effort of communication can either build someone up or they can break someone down. We have to know the difference between those two. And where we really want to be is right in that middle ground of using the proper words to motivate, get people inspired, get them to take action, right? So we have to always understand that words shape that perception of the person and also what decisions that they are going to make. Similar to what Keisha was saying at the very beginning of the show, these are basic fundamentals that we need to know, but no one's teaching them except for myself and I don't know, maybe somebody else out there, right? But there's right words that you can use that are going to trigger the action, and also words that you can use that can also trigger the trust while you're having your presentation, your meeting, your Zoom, whatever it is. But when you put the wrong words in there, it's going to kill your posture and your authority. I can tell you this, I've gone to a webinar, and this is not poking fun at our brother Virgil, but I went to a webinar once and the presenter said the word basically at least 15 times within the first 5 minutes of the presentation. Guess what I did? Can anyone take a guess? I left.
Basically,
Yeah, I left. I left.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't stand it enough because it was just so much and so much. It was like, well, do you even know what the hell you're talking about? Right? So I'm saying this so that we understand that your language is your leverage. So we need to be able to put these things together that we're talking about, the psychology behind them, the communication, the effort, and even the words, right? Because your words matter. What you say can make or break the entire conversation or make or break the entire cell if that's what you're going for. Ooh, I get goosies on that. So here's a couple power words that I want you guys to write down. These are action triggers, what we call action triggers. So that in the subconscious, even if they don't say anything, they're feeling something from the words that you're putting out there. Here's three of them. The one is instant, right? You get it now, right now, it's instant. Or now, you get it now. Or discover. Okay, those are three power words that we can use. I got some notes in here too because I didn't want to screw this up. Because I want to explain the psychology side of things, right? So if we're saying instant or now, this number one is going to trigger urgency. And, people want quick results. They want immediate access. So as an example, you can say something like, discover how you can get results starting now. Write that down. Discover how you can get results starting now. Now, there's a couple other words that I want to throw in here that I want you to write down. Another word besides these three, the fourth word is proven, Proven, or / guaranteed. Proven or guaranteed. Next word I want you to write down is exclusive. And let me go back to proven real quick. Proven builds trust and certainty. Okay. The next word that I want you to write down is exclusive / limited / secret. So it could be exclusive, limited, or secret. This sparks curiosity and also sparks fear of missing out. Okay. The last one that I want you guys to write down is imagine. And this is all together. Imagine / effortless / save and / free. So you use words like imagine how effortless this could be when you're saving money and you can start for free. Woo! I just pulled that out of the top of my head. Okay. The example here says imagine closing sales effortlessly while saving time. So the reason that I'm talking about this is, again, one of the things that I used to do back in the day in direct marketing, because we always talked about how to get the sale, was I'd like to flip things on the script on its head and say, well, here's how you screw up a sale, right? There's so many things that we could talk about in how you can screw up a sale. A lot of those come down to your basic art of communication and what you're saying, right? It's also going to come down to the power words. Are you using power words? Are you using negative connotation when you're speaking about things? If you aren't very sure of yourself when you're communicating, then that's going to portray in whatever you're communicating, no matter how you look at it. Maybe not everyone will pick it up, but I will tell you, people like myself that are more affluent, more experienced, we will pick it up. we will pick it up. And it will be a distraction, or it will be like, next. Okay. So I want to tell you these things, show you these things because it's important. So write them down, start implementing them, use them in your daily vocabulary, use them in your daily post. But power words are very important to try to utilize. Okay. Some more power words that we talk about, shall I say, which are trust builders, are what we talked about a little bit when we said proven and the guaranteed. Now, because as well, those are all trust builders. Well, this happens because, but you have to be able to give the because so that it makes sense. If you give the because and they look at you like a deer in headlights, then it wasn't a good delivery of the information, right? And I've seen this many times before. So use those power words. They'll help you build those trust, help you build trust with the person that you're talking to. Okay. Now let's talk about words that build like scarcity and exclusivity. That's what we talked about. Exclusive, limited, and secret, right? If you use these in conjunction with the other words that we're talking about, you can compile literally a sentence that will build all of that momentum within that sentence or even within a couple of sentences, right? Because again, this is something, quite honestly, that I would think and consider that most people that are doing ad or sales copy would have to learn to be very good at, right? So I know that not all of us are into ad copy, and most of us now can use artificial intelligence, which is great. It's a tool, but those tools don't always come through, right? I could tell you over this weekend, I'm fighting with ChatGPT to get stuff done that Manus could do, thinking that I could take what Manus did, give it to ChatGPT, and could continue on because of the lack of credits. Meanwhile, all I was done, all that ChatGPT did was fill me up with empty promises and didn't deliver, unfortunately. Right? We all know about that. But if I'm asking ChatGPT for something simple, by all means, I think it hits the mark, right? It will definitely help. But again, we want to put these words together in conveyance in such a way so that when we're having a conversation, it makes sense and people understand what it is that we're talking about, and we can kind of motivate them towards that finish line. Now, power words, imagination and emotion. Okay. If you can get, because a lot of the sales psychology that I talk about is literally getting inside someone's head. Okay. If you can use these power words, you literally get inside the person's head and you help build that imagination and that emotion. And that's in essence what you need. If you're not building the imagination and the emotion inside of the brain for that person to see what the possibilities are, guess what they're going to probably tell you? They're probably going to say, no, not interested, right? So, to include some of those power words, imagination and emotion, that'll bring, use the word imagine, use the word effortless, use the word save, or even the word free, right? What's this going to cost me? Yeah, it's totally free. Imagine starting for free and making money effortlessly. How much time would that save you? Again, this is all just boom, right off the top of the dome there, right? When your communication literally gets better. And I'm not telling you, oh, you gotta speak like a hobnobbing, pass the great Papon, right? But it is important that you're able to deliver your message in such a fashion that people understand what you're talking about. Now, let's get into the whole forbidden word stuff and why it kills your posture. Number one, they make you sound weak, right? Or like you don't know what you're talking about. Number two, they'll lower your authority. Dre, did you have something real quick? No.
Well, I wanted to interject something before you
Sure.
went to the forbidden words.
Sure.
Being an Army recruiter, you couldn't go in and test out the military to see if you like it.
Sure.
Take a tour, basic training to see if that's going to work for you or not.
Right.
So we had to use the power of word pictures. and and use words like imagine, and the effects of what it would be for you personally, professionally, if you can see yourself, being in a leadership position,
Mhm.
because usually you might be in a place where you haven't been proven or different things like that. So even I've had to learn, and it's been a great tool, especially with service-based um, business, to use these word pictures, to use these key power words, because you are you're helping them go on a journey to see where they can be and the benefits they can have and what the world is going to look like with your service versus a product where they can kind of touch and feel and experience something tangible. But when you have a service base, you got to really use the power of the imagination, the power of really seeking how they see themselves and where they want to be. And so that's something that was introduced to me when I was an Army recruiter, and just wanted to
Love
share
it.
that.
Love it. No, I thank you for sharing that. As a Army recruit, I went through that. So did you, right? So we know it works. Hello. But yeah, what you're doing is you're building them a vision or a picture in their mind, right? And if you can do that in such a fashion, it just makes it easier for them to say yes. This is what I'm trying to convey to everybody so you understand. It's how you present yourself that's going to be the most important. Obviously, as mentioned, we want to make sure that we make a first good impression because you never get a second chance to make a good one, first one. But the words that we're saying, the way that we deliver, even from my experience from door to door, even the way that you stand, my friends, from the way that you stand to the time that you look at the person and don't look at the person. I'm telling you, all of these, woo, I get excited on this. This is the shit that was burned into my brain that
Yes.
not many people know, right?
And
These are
one
that I love
and
to.
one last thing,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
this
No, you're
also
good.
brings them in, and it changes it from a presentation to a conversation, because now with their imagination they can now travel with you, they can now be a part of that picture
Yeah.
because they're seeing themselves in it. Now you're like a tour guide
Mhm.
in their mind
Mhm.
and bringing them to that destination they're looking at so they can participate instead of you just talking at them. Now we're gelling together because we're matching through the imagination. It's just powerful. This is
That's
really
it.
good. Thank
It
you.
is super powerful, which also equates to, you hear me talk about finding, three things in common within the first 5 minutes. If you could do that and then incorporate what we're talking about here with those power words and take them into their imagination on a journey, that's some powerful stuff, my friends. Like that is super, super powerful. Like, yeah, gives me goosebumps on how powerful that is. Woo, all the way to the back of my neck. Thank you for sharing, Daria. Back to what we were talking about here. It literally will kill your posture though. So you can build up all this good momentum. You know what they say, right? You can do a million and one great things, but the moment you F up, that's what everybody remembers, right? So you want to think about that when you're doing those presentations to not F up, right? The third thing, they signal you need approval. This is a big one here, especially for those of you that are intending on being leaders. This is bad. This is very bad. And you don't want to be a leader or so-called leader that needs approval. It just doesn't make sense. If you need approval, then you're not really a leader, are we? Right? So we want to think about that. And then most of all, they destroy your influence. Right. So we want to be very careful about the words that you're saying. So here's your forbidden words. Again, some of you guys have seen some of these, and I want you to write them down. If you haven't heard about them before, I'll briefly talk to you real quickly about them. Thank you. Yeah, I always used to preface this whenever I would have this conversation. I would say, look, the words that I'm getting ready to say to you right now that you should be saying are probably going to drive you nuts. It's going to be like, it doesn't make sense, right? I'm sure we were all brought up the right way to say please and thank you and sir and ma'am and all that other nonsense. And I shouldn't call it nonsense because it's real, right? And it is to be to have some kind of civility in growing up in such a fashion to politely ask. But in the business world, my friends, make sure you understand what I'm telling you. I'm not telling you to not say sir or ma'am to mom and dad so you get smacked. I'm saying in the business world, these words should not be used, period. Okay? Period. Number one is thank you. Why? What's the purpose of that? Here's something that I've learned in my experience. When you solve a person's problem, they will thank you. Okay? If I'm going to say thank you, I'm not going to say thank you. I'm going to eliminate the you and I'm going to add an S to the thank and I'm going to say thanks. This is going to be after a command or a verbal command to ask them to do something. And then I say thanks. And what that is that's actually thanking them in advance for them doing what I'm asking them to do. So what I mean by that in practical application, I would have to ask somebody to go get their bill so that we could go and verify that they qualify for the program. I say, yeah, if you could just grab your bill for me, I'll wait right here. Thanks. Right? So I'm commanding them to do something and then I'm saying thanks because I'm thanking them in advance. And if you do it the right way, I'm telling you guys, people will spin around to go do what it is that you're asking them to. Telling you. It's crazy the things that I saw door to door and how this stuff works or didn't work. Give me just a minute, Keisha. Let me get through these words, okay? Please, this is another one that literally when you're saying please, you're like begging. You don't want to beg while you're trying to do a sale. Like that is not what you want to do. Right? And actually go ahead, Keisha. What did you want to say before you lose topic or train of thought?
Oh no, I was saying,
We're gonna go
when
over,
you
by the way.
turn your, excuse me?
I said we're gonna go over time. I hope you guys don't mind.
Oh, sorry.
No, no,
When you
nothing.
say, when you gave the order and then you looked away and said thanks, that's
Yep,
actually a part of it too, that body
correct.
language when you say thanks, because you're
100.
not asking them, you really are giving a command. Because I
Mm-hmm,
do the same thing when I'm talking to my security. It's like,
mm-hmm.
I need you to do this for me, thanks. And by the
Perfect.
time I say thanks, I'm on my way to my next thing because now this conversation is over and you need to
Mhm.
execute what I told you to do.
Bravo. Bravo. Excellent. Thank you for that addition. Yep. The next one here is sir or ma'am. I need you all to understand, especially out there in YouTube land, if you're watching, sir or ma'am, the moment that you say sir or ma'am, what you're doing is you're putting that person on a pedestal. Stop it. You should be equal to them, not below them, not above them, but equal to them. But the moment you say sir or ma'am, you're literally putting them on a stool, on a pedestal, and you might as well just bow. Understand what I mean by that? You might as well just bow. Okay. Then the fourth one in here is basically this is my nails on the chalkboard. Doesn't sound like you know what you're talking about. Basically, should never be used, my friends. Okay. Instead of basically, because I want to give you fillers, things that you can use, instead of using the word basically, use this. It works like a charm 100% of the time. Write it down. Here's how it works. It's real simple. Here's how it works. It's real simple. 7 words. So write down basically, draw a big old X on it. Next to it, write those words out. Okay. But thank you, please, sir, ma'am. Basically, none of those should be within your conversation, your talk, your pitch. We want to eliminate those words and give you better words to be using. Okay. Here's part 2 of forbidden words. This stuff was not into the 5-day boot camp, so I wanted to make sure that we added it because I know that I've seen it, I've heard it, people have done it to me, and every time it's done to me, I'm just like, just kind of makes me laugh. Okay, so do not say, if you have time to check this out. Very passive aggressive, like no, I hate to say it, no huevos. But if you have time, shouldn't ever be in your conversation. You have to make the time or find out what time they have. Okay. Next word I hear a lot of people say, not here in this group, but just overall, is the word honestly. Okay. Now we need to understand the psychology behind this. When you say honestly, and if you've said it 2 or 3 times within 5 to 10 minutes of your conversation, you know what that implies? That implies that you're not always honest. Even if you think you are in your mind, because that's where it's coming from, you believe that you're honest. So you always say honestly. But that's not the truth. Okay. So honestly needs to be omitted from the vocabulary as well, especially when we're in this kind of environment. Next one is just checking in. Hey, Rita, just checking in. See if you saw that video I sent you. Hey, Gene, just checking in. Did you get that link? Right? Yeah, just checking in doesn't work. It's not great. Don't use it. We'll use other better things. And then I'm trying to wrap my head around more of the I think or I feel. And ultimately, in my mind, my decision is because you don't want to make it about you. Right? When you're talking and you're speaking, you want to make it about the person that you're speaking to, especially when we're having this conversation about the right words to say and how we're presenting ourselves to get somebody into action by getting into their head and building out that imagination and showing them a vivid picture, right? If you could show them a vivid picture in their mind of what that success actually looks like, they're going to jump in. They're going to jump in, guarantee you. Okay. But if you don't paint that picture, and that's what we used to call it in direct marketing, if you don't paint that picture, they're never going to join, my friends. So it's very important that we paint the picture for them. Okay. Now, I want to talk quickly about posture versus permission, going back to what I was saying earlier about those weak words and how you can lose control over what it is that you're actually talking about. Posture is very important. And I don't mean like stand up straight, even though that is part of it. But your posture is your overall being, how you're accepting the information, how you're delivering the information because you're owning the message, right? Versus having to go out there and ask for permission, right? So as an example here, strong, here's how we'll move forward. You're telling them, you're posturing them and saying, this is how we'll move forward, right? Something this week, I'm just checking in to see if you had time. Hey, Dorea, I'm just checking in to see if you have time. You have time? Stand firm, my friends, okay? This is a big one here that we used to talk about. Assume you deserve to be there. Now, that word assume is many times we talk about, well, you know what happens when you assume, right? You make an ass out of you and me. But believe it or not, in the sales world, you must assume, including the sale, right? This is something we used to talk about and teach in the direct marketing days. You must assume the sale. Why would they not do it? Everyone else that I've talked to has, like Tim, Bob, Rita, Dorea, and all those people, those guys, right? So you want to stand firm in what you're talking about, but assume that you deserve to be there. You should be part of that conversation, right? Here's a few key takeaways. We want to use power words to trigger the action. Eliminate the forbidden words from your language so that you don't ruin the action that you're trying to take. Your posture and position matter in every single conversation. And last but not least, you are the prize, my friends. Raise your hand and say, yeah! Only about 2 of you did it. You are the prize, my friends. You are the person that we're working on building up into this leadership role if you're not there already, so that you are the person that people want to follow. If you don't become that person, people will not follow. Make sense? So that's the information I wanted to share. We didn't go too far over. That's cool. But let's discuss it. I know a couple of you guys have already talked about it in the power chat, in the chat, but what's your favorite power word? Which forbidden word do you catch yourself using? Here's the big one. Go ahead, Virgil.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to come back to basically when you noted this is so powerful because when you these bad words tend to sip in the conversation and then you find yourself repeating them and
Yep.
not even noticing them. They become part of your conversation. That's
Correct.
the real killer about these bad words because when you called me out on that, I started getting more aware of my conversation process. And that was the big
Notice.
win in this because when you start listening, sometimes you talk, you think, you talk. But the real cycle is you think, you talk, and you have to listen to yourself as you gauge the reaction of the audience or the person that you're speaking to.
Mhm.
And these words, they creep in and give you a false sense of confidence because
Mhm.
keep repeating them without understanding. And
Right.
even if the word you think is not a bad word, but when you start repeating that, you start drilling in those negative emotions, right? If you always have to refer to the basics, or say basically as your go-to pivot, then you lose confidence,
Right.
right? So that was a big thing that came through, and
Good.
uh, I'm keeping myself aware of in these conversation of which words I'm using, and it's a great
Awesome,
course.
brother.
There's the small things that usually you lose sight of.
100%. And the other thing about that too, right, just so that we clarify it, is you using that word, you end up getting comfortable with it, so then it's repetitive. And I'm going to give you guys just a little tidbit, and let's report back on this next Monday. Okay. Here's your assignment, if you will. Throughout your week and your conversations, or even the videos that you go and watch, I want you to pay attention to whoever's speaking and see if they have a word that they repeat all the time. You know what I'm talking about? You will have, just like what we're talking about now with some of those negative words, you'll have a person that will say things, and within that dialogue, they'll repeat that same word. As an example, I love my buddy Joe Terrian to death. He likes to say, and so on and so forth. Right? A lot of that, and so on and so forth. And then blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Right? To me, it's what do you call that? It's like a tell, if you will, in poker or gaming. To me, it's a tell. So I often, because of my experience, I listen for that too. Right? And jokingly, but serious, Virgil, I was laughing at the last time because I was like, man, you know what? I should just write down a tick mark. That's what I used to do, write down a tick mark every time somebody would say basically, be like, bro, you said basically 52 times. You know?
Even the last sessions, I was like, this is, well, I was trying to catch myself. But then this is when I really picked up on the nature that, well,
Yeah.
it's kind of, it became part of my dialogues, and that's a bad thing, right?
I noticed though. That's
Which means
awesome too. And just like what you're saying, it's having that awareness. Once you know, right? Another popular mentor of mine used to say, when you know better, you should do better. Right. So
100%.
again, the forbidden words and all this stuff is very important for all of us that are in here from a perspective of being that mentor, being that leader, being that salesperson. Right. So appreciate that feedback, brother. Gene next, and then Drea.
Uh, Real quick, number one word I need to stop using is
Yes.
and
Yes.
my favorite word is imagination,
Love it.
which I really love. I have used it before to paint a picture. One of my big things is I'm all about painting pictures when it comes to wrestling. When I have two wrestlers or four wrestlers and we're going over the match and what I want and how I want things to be at the end. And as I'm telling this story to them, I'm a lot of F bombs are being dropped. That's the way you talk in the locker room. But I am making them visualize and imagine everything I want them to do, that by the time they get out there and they do it, they're almost 100% right on what I wanted. So there it is again. The second one is I think and I feel. I use that a lot, and I should not use that a lot. I understand. Now, I could see myself possibly saying I believe when I'm talking about that person, or about the subject matter, but I can understand not saying I think I feel. Now, one thing I also wanted to add is something that I have used before. It definitely works, especially when you're face to face with people. But if you're doing a presentation, even online and Zoom, along with a positive nod that we all know how to do, is the word obviously. Obviously, everyone would agree that by using these power words and not using these forbidden words, our conversations are going to go much, much better, and we're going to grow in our businesses.
100%.
Obviously, obviously, you parents, if your kids are using the money, how do you say it, Rita?
Money Mastery for Munchkins.
Money Mastery for Munchkins. They're going to learn how to manage their money and save money. And by the time they're driving cars, guess what? They're not going to be, asking for gas money. So the word obviously is a very strong word. And who doesn't want to look like an idiot by saying, oh no, it's not obvious to me? Everybody's going to shake their head, especially in your presentation with multiple people. Yes, I agree, obviously, because I'm smart and it's very obvious to me. So that's a great word to use heading into your close. So
love it. Love it. I want to touch on that just for just a second, because what you said definitely resonates with me, because that's one thing that we had to learn and we taught in direct marketing. If you want somebody to say yes, you should nod your head yes. If you want them to say no, you say no. It's because of what's called a mirror effect, right? From person to person. The other thing that I want to throw in is a little gold nugget for you guys. You need to learn how to do your money face. Sorry, Rita, like, what? Anybody know what I'm talking about?
Repeat that again.
Need to know how to do your money face. You ready for an example? Ask me a question that's a yes answer, Gene.
So do you like to travel?
This is the money face.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? It's not just agreeing. It's like, hello. That's the money face, just so y'all know. So when y'all start shaking your head yes, or you get that response, yes, shake your head yes, but make sure you put that money face on. Jorge, go ahead.
Well, I guess I have a lot of work to do, because I was raised
Sir, man.
thinking when I receive a favor from a man, saying, "Thank you, sir."
Yep. 100.
So, and just a little, also a little contribution on, especially on people from Central America.
Mhm.
They have the tendency to say, when they don't understand something, they say Monday,
Monday, sí.
and the
Okay,
translation
yeah.
of Monday is give me an order.
Sí, sí, yo entiendo.
So that I have corrected a lot of people when they say Monday. I said, don't say that, because that's putting you on a subservient position, and you want to be given an order.
Here's because of your conversation, Jorge, I want to drop another gold nugget here. Okay, if somebody asks you a question and you do not understand the question, write this down. Use these words. How do you mean? 4 words, 4 simple words. How do you mean? When you go and you change, instead of not knowing what they're talking about, and you say, well, how do you mean? Or you throw in the well, make it 5. Well, how do you mean? Look at him with a scrunchy face if you're looking at him, what we call scrunchy face. All right. Well, how do you mean? What this does is that tells that person that you didn't understand the question. Immediately they go back into their mind to reword the question in a form that's easier to understand. Okay. So how do you mean? Works works wonders.
Are you saying how do you mean or what do you mean?
No, I'm saying how. So if you tell me something, right, Jorge, and you explain something, and instead of me saying like Monday, that's like what, right? I would say, how do you mean? So that you would re-clarify the question so that it's easier for me to understand because I didn't understand it the
Well,
first.
the reason I asked that is because I never heard it that way. I
Yeah.
I
Right.
always heard, what do you mean?
Right. It's better. How do you mean? How do you mean? It's not what, it's how. Because the how wasn't getting through, right? And then do you understand too what I'm talking about the whole sir ma'am stuff, right, Jorge? I'm not saying don't respect your mother or elders or anything like that, but just in the business world, you want to be eye to eye with that other person, Jorge. So you don't want to use sir or ma'am. You don't want to put them on a pedestal, especially if you're there to help them, right? Make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate your feedback and being here, brother. Gene, what else you got?
You were again talking about the positive nod, and you mentioned the mirroring. How powerful the mirroring is. How many of us have seen someone with food or something on their face and say, "Hey, you got something right here." And what do? They literally mirror you. You're touching your right cheek, and they touch their left cheek. It just like you were in a mirror. And that's how powerful it is. And the next time someone's up on stage, Rita, and you ask a question, don't raise your right hand. I mean, excuse me, don't raise your left hand and see how many people will actually raise their left hand instead of the right hand. And that's the opposite of mirroring lots of times. And when you raise your right hand up on stage, they won't mirror you there. They'll just raise their hand. But raise your left hand sometime and just see how many people actually raise their left hand with you. So it'd be a neat little test to run. So
I love that. And I'm thinking of another gold nugget to drop on you guys. So again, going back to the body language, is this primarily when you're in a face-to-face contact with that person? If you pay attention to their body language, I'll try to do this in such a fashion that you guys can see it. But you can break somebody's, how do I want to say this? You can literally break somebody's demeanor and their body language just by doing the mirroring portion of what we're talking about. So as an example, if I have somebody that's listening to me like this, I'm going to mirror my customer. We call it mirroring the customer. I'm going to then go like this while I'm having the conversation. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to feel uncomfortable because I'm doing what he's doing. Then automatically the arms drop. So another point on this gold nugget that I'm giving you guys, if you're trying to do a presentation and the person's arms are locked like this, you're not going to get anywhere. This is a barrier. This is a wall that they are telling you that they have up without telling you. Again, it's the nonverbal communication that speaks way louder than your words, especially when people listen. So even if that person is leaning up against the wall and I want them to stop doing it, I will go lean against the wall. I will literally mirror that person and they will stop the behavior just like that. Oh, more gold nuggets. What you got, Keisha? Ooh, this is good.
I was saying that my favorite word is imagine. I think
You're kind of low, dear. Could barely hear you.
because for whatever reason, I enjoy drawing a picture for people. I think it's my superpower. I get people to see what I'm looking at so that they get to put themselves there. And it's amazing to me how all the things that work great in your personal communication are the things you'd never do in business.
Yep.
Like please, thank you, sir and ma'am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
100%.
my thing in personal is everybody's mommy, papi, baby, and boo. I don't think I use anybody's name. I suck at names, and by mommy, papi, baby, and boo, nobody. Everybody feels like they like this with me, and I've never used your name.
Love it. Love it.
I have literally known people for like 5 years and never used their name, but I would never do that in business.
I love that. Great example point. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
But and the other thing is when Jorge was asking, if you said what or how asks the question that makes them explain, but what puts them on the defensive? It's like, what
Exactly.
do you mean? It's like they got to justify themselves.
Right.
How did you mean? Puts them in the, oh, you didn't understand. Let me put it another way.
Right.
It's amazing
Absolutely.
how that one word makes such a big difference in a sentence.
100%. It's like, what do you mean, what?
Exactly. What's fighting words, man?
Right? Thank you for sharing, Keisha. Virgil, go ahead and then
I just
Rita.
wanted to just something just popped into my head, and I just wanted
Sure.
to share it with everybody to make sure that
There
we're
you go.
all taking this in, because we tend to think that this is just applied in the face-to-face or real-world conversation, I should say. Let's not forget that we're supposed to be doing Zoom calls with our clients, one-on-one interviews, discovery calls. So everything that we're doing, everything that we're talking to actually applies in our online environment, right? Because that interview that I did is all this combined, everything is coming back. I'm like, yeah, I should have done this. Okay, be careful this time. And I'm planning on having more of those conversation with business people face to face, real time on Zoom. So the power of this teaching or this course is something that we really need to reflect on, because we're going to be
Love it.
using it in the writing structure, but also in these discovery call, these one-on-one. So yeah,
Love it.
so powerful.
Love it, brother. Love it. Absolutely. Yeah, your mission is to get them off of Facebook, man. Get them on the phone, get them on a video call, get them in person, something like that, right? Have a conversation with them. Text can be misconstrued so easily. Thank you, Virgil. Rita, what you got, my friend?
Just something real quick. I think too
Sure.
that just like Virgil speaks another language, Jorge speaks another language,
Yeah.
that phrase or modismo comes across differently. So the way that he's looking at it is different from the way that we're looking at it. And it's
See.
because of the language and how it's interpreted there versus what we use.
Yeah, sí es claro.
Okay. ¿Cómo está
Jackie,
bien?
hey, Jorge, I bet you didn't know I knew Spanish, huh? Keisha, what you got?
Well, that actually holds true for English also. And that's why
Sure.
I can always tell when I'm speaking somebody who learned English as an adult, because English is extremely regional. We in the United States speak English a lot different than English speaking England. We speak
Amen
different
to
in the
that.
South than we do in the North. We speak different in the Midwest than we do on the East Coast. It's regional. And
Mhm.
that's how I like to catch my scammers. It's like when they like to tell me they're from Chicago or whatever, I start having conversations with them because they're gonna trip up. If you're
Mhm.
not from there or you haven't
Right.
lived there any significant amount of time, you're not gonna get the dialect correct. You're gonna be
Yeah.
grammatically correct, but you're not gonna get the dialect right.
So if I say
So
Chi-Town, I'm in, right?
no, because everybody knows to say Chi-Town if they're talking about Chicago.
Damn.
But I once asked somebody a question and I swear they Googled the answer and gave it to me and I laughed. I said, that sounds, and I actually asked them that question
Mhm.
on purpose to see if I was going to get a commercial answer.
Mhm.
Because again, there are things that a Floridian will say and do that somebody who Googles Florida would
Yeah.
think would think that would be the answer. And no, it's not. Okay, you ain't from here. You know what
Totally
I'm saying?
understand. Yeah, totally understand.
Same
I
as
can
when
same
you're
as that.
talking about you're from the Caribbean, every island, every single island, even if they're part of the same country, every
Yeah.
single island has its own phrases, its own dialect.
Yep. 100%. You're absolutely right. Thank you for sharing that. Jackie, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just about to say something very similar, that culture has a lot to do with it. Um, when you say how do you mean, that's something that's going to be really easy for me, because that's what we say in the UK. We say how do you mean as opposed to what do you
Hey,
mean.
wait. Don't you mean in Alabama?
Yeah, in Alabama, that's what we say. We say how do you mean. So, so,
Love it.
so that should be really easy. But what I wanted to ask is,
Sure.
what would be the alternative, an acceptable alternative to just checking in?
So what I always teach, you guys have heard this before. Hey, Jackie, how's it going? How's your day going so far? Super simple. Every single conversation could be let off that way. Even if it's in public, even if it's at your grocery store. Hey, how's it going? How's your day going so far? You could always start a conversation that way. Super, super easy. Does that help? In fact, that's how I start every conversation. Unless I really know you, and then Rita knows my first line is, "Hey, you busy?" Right? Because again, I'm trying to find if they have the time. If they're busy, well, I don't want to interrupt somebody while they're busy, right? But if I say, "Are you busy?" and there's no, what's up? Now I have their full undivided attention, right? So that's how I start every conversation. Trust that helps.
I was going to
Yes,
offer,
man, I feel good about today, man. This was great. Go ahead, Virgil, you were saying?
I was going to say, if we're in a business conversation and you're checking in on the client, then the alternative would be, hey, following up on our last exchange, right? Because checking in for me is, okay, well, I'm talking to a client, I'm following up on a previous exchange, right? So,
Well, but here's the thing about that. I like what you're saying and where you're going with it, but here's the thing we really need to understand, okay? This is very important. People in general will tell on themselves, okay? They will tell on themselves. So it's not like you need to go and say, "Hey, I'm just checking up to see if you watched that video or got this done," right? Because that structures the conversation to go in a different way. But if I go and I say, "Hey, how's it going? How's your day going so far?" Guess what you're going to do, Virgil? You're going to come tell me, "Man, oh, it's going great, but I haven't gotten to do that thing we were talking about," right? Because you will tell on yourself. It's just natural occurrence. If you're not that person that will tell on yourself, then you've got other underlying issues that we don't have time to go into. So I trust that helps. Even now, as I say that, I had to change the word hope because I used to say hope a lot to trust. There's one I should have given you guys. Write down hope, scratch it out, change it to trust. Again, those words, as you experience them, as you learn them, just add them into your vocabulary little by little so that your sentence structures sound better and you speak clearly. As far as the ums, just the best thing to do is get out of your head and get into your heart. If you're speaking from the heart, a lot of those ums don't happen. The ums happen when we have to think. So just another little tidbit there. Jorge, what you got? Man, this is great.
Um, to ask somebody for if they have time,
Mhm.
I once read that you could say, "Did I reach you at a bad time?" Because normally we try to do contrarian to a lot of the things. So if I ask, did I reach you at a bad time? Most probably you're gonna say, "No, no, that's fine."
This is true.
If I say the contrary, "Is this a good time to talk to you?" You say, "No, I'm busy."
Exactly. Yep. 100% on that. Yep. 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 Great little feedback there, brother. Great feedback. Thank you. Gene, what you got?
Real quick, by you asking or by us asking, hey, how are you doing today? How's your day going today? We're not asking a yes or no question. Also,
Right.
going back to what Rory just said, do you have time? That's a yes or no. But and then also going to what Virgil said, just checking in with you, or, however you word that, Virgil. Again, it's not asking a question. Most people almost feel obligated to answer a question when they're asked a question.
Mhm.
Versus, and
Natural.
so yeah, so it's kind of playing mind games with them a little bit of how you word things to them. Another thing, going back to how do you mean? I always go back to help me understand. That's the words I use.
That's great. That works too. Help me understand. That's another alternative. I'll give you a check mark on that one, bro.
Yeah, and well, the
you
nice
you
thing.
can keep using that one.
Well, the
That was okay.
nice thing about help me understand is it works in business and in personal life
100.
because it's just lowers people's defenses right away.
Yep,
You
100%.
know, and especially in marriages and boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff, asking your spouse, help me understand, you know, versus, you know, what do you mean, or how do you mean, even, you know, it just helps out. But I learned it from a boss years ago, and I've used it with bosses when I've been managing up. We all know about managing up a lot. So
Man, I love what you just put out there, and now I'm thinking to myself, maybe I need to use this structure with my wife.
no, well, I
Thanks for
learned about
sharing, man.
I learned about it after I got divorced. However, I did share it with a friend of mine who was married, and he came back a few days later and said, I got out of an argument because I used help me understand.
Love it.
So
100%, brother. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. I need to think about that though. That's what was going through my mind while you were talking about it. Maybe I should try that. I don't know why. Keisha, go ahead.
You know, I don't use I'm checking in unless I'm talking to like one of my colleagues. Most of the time I go when I'm following up with a client, I go, you know, I was on a call with another client and I realized I neglected to check in to make sure that you were able to get this done.
That's a good
And
lead. I love that.
I didn't want you to fall between the cracks.
Right.
How did you like it? And if they didn't get to it, they feel really, really bad. I was like,
Well,
you know
that's way
what?
better. Way better because
Mhm.
you're set,
Because
you're
I
you're
don't ask a
structuring
question.
it
I don't
before you
give them
ask.
the opportunity to give me a no,
Right. Yep.
you
Yep.
know?
hmm
So it's always you crossed my mind when I was doing something else, and I figured let me slide you in real here. So you also know I'm busy
Sure. I love it.
and I ain't got time.
100%.
So you need to
Great
stop wasting it.
psychology. Yep. Great psychology there. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Appreciate that. Man, hour and a half today. We used to go 2 hours. We kind of dropped it down to an hour just to kind of, make sure that we weren't spending too much time here. But I'm okay with going an hour and a half or 2 hours. As long as we're learning something, I feel really good about today. I got a lot of value. I trust that you guys did. Did you have something else, Keisha? Or is that a residual hand raise? Residual? Cool. Right on.
It's absolutely residual.
Awesome. Well, speaking of residual, let's go out there and make some residual money this week, guys, right? Go talk to the people, use what your newfound knowledge is, put those sentence structures together. Let's get some really good verbiage going on and coming out of your mouth so that you can influence people the right way. Appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. TGIM, go out there, kick ass, take names, have a fantastic week. We'll see you next time. Toot toot, love you, bye-bye.
everybody, good week.
Oh, Vicky, did you get it? Hurry up. Give me a thumbs up when you're good.
Hey, you said help me understand. It works. I love that. I used to use it with my husband, but it can be work to your detriment also, depending upon the inflection of your voice.
Yes. Inflection definitely works. Okay, Vicky's good. All right, my friends, enjoy your day. Go kick ass, take names. We'll see you next time.